Hey, Opposing Gloves here. I'm wearing a hat, and this is the first video in the vocal processing series. Real quick, before we do anything, here's a bunch of examples of the vocal processing that we're going to be learning in this series.
Why do you try to see our deeds? Why do you try to look inside? Cause when you look and when you see, you must pay off, it is not free. So give us what you're worth and pay us with your fly by in the sky, where you're meant to be. Gravity is chained to your core. Will you be free? Break the chain. Red, yellow, blue, green, orange, white, purple,
I've heard the good deeds had their day, that change was never nice. But one thing is for sure, we are eternal. Potential untold, unheard, unseen. Peel back the fear, peel back the veil. Look in the mirror, it's meant to turn. Gold diamonds, all worth nothing.
Jumpin', through. Jumpin',
Jumpin'.
through. Jumpin', through. Jumpin'. You think that it's over, you think that it's done, but our symbols are ancient, we've already Get up, get down, but don't pull apart. It's the swing, not the sing, and don't forget, when you dance, don't dance another's 8-bit jam. Turns black and eyes turn gold, I turns to mist. The truth is told between the lines of crooked teeth. Ruptured chance falls obsolete since the fall of endless myth. You have tried to stereotype this inside the monster's candlelight. A figure comes from place beside. He opens up his secret book. He chose the time when colors in. The place goes back before your eyes. Not bright nor dark, but in your sight. The people come from locks and chains. They see you now through devastation.
Je vais te montrer quelque chose que tu vas aimer. Suis-moi. Je vais te montrer quelque chose que tu vas aimer. Je te dis, bienvenue à Wonderland. Parlez-vous français? Je pense pas.
You're hearing. What does that mean? I'm going to play a series of tones for you. And to pass the test, you must tell me where the tone goes. Let's start with a tone worth going. Is this wonderland? Is this wonderland? Is this wonderland? Darkness, monsters, blackness in the air. Adults are trained. Condition is here. If it is beneath you, then steer clear. What lies beneath this will destroy you. Killer ladybugs.
Wolfgang Amadeus.
Shuckle, chortle, goffle, snigger, howl with laughter, crack up, dissolve into laughter, split one side by rolling on the floor, crackle.
It's a reflex action.
So everything you just heard is stuff that I have personally composed and written, and it's also stuff that I recorded myself. And I have done a number of things. The singers you heard, I usually grab from wherever. Like that French song that you heard, that was just a guy I go to church with. And I was just like, he likes music. And I was like, if you can make noise, I'm pretty determined to make something of it. And so he's like, I know French. And I was like, great, come here. We're going to make a French song and we're going to use your French knowledge to make a very Frenchy song. And he liked house music. So I went for house music and away we went. And then other times I find singers and I think, oh, that singer doesn't sound that bad. Or maybe that singer sounds really good, or, whatever my thoughts are. And if they're willing to come over and sing for me, then it's game over. I'm going to do it. And even if they're really out of tune or if they're not that great, I can still work with it. I can make a lot of cool things. And with my voice alone, I do a lot of things with my own voice. And just knowing what you're doing in the processing is what we're going to be talking about. Now, things I expect you to know up front. So we're not going to be covering vocal chops because that's pretty simple stuff. And it's not really a vocal processing thing. That's more of like creating a synth out of voice. It's like sampling a voice. So we're not really going to be. Maybe I'll end up putting a vocal chop video. I already have a couple vocal chop videos on my channel as well. So that doesn't fall into this. We're talking about like things you're going to need to recognize as speech in a song, not like weird like things inside a track. Those are my vocal chop impersonations. Then mixing. We will be covering a little bit of mixing. And I recently just got my certificate. I am now officially a certified audio engineer. And we're going to be talking about mixing just a bit, but mixing a vocal is, as far as processing goes, is really boring on that side of things. It's like compression, verb, find a good spot for it in the mix, EQ. Like, we're not going to be doing that stuff. That's mixing. That's not processing in the sense that I'm using it. I'm talking about creative processing. Like, let's put a vocoder on here and let's make a harmony that wasn't there before. So I'm going to be pulling out a lot of things, a lot of tricks that a lot of people don't know, don't use. It's a little complicated, things that require multiple areas. We're going to be talking about those sorts of things. So like that rap vocal, how they get like that crunchy sound, not from a mixing standpoint, but it's like, it turns out, oh, look they actually AM modulated that voice, or they did something weird, like pitched it down using a particular algorithm, or just a bunch of weird things. And we're going to be talking about vocoders, types of vocoders. Well, not types of vocoders, vocoder's a vocoder, but I mean like the different ones that I typically use. Right now, I principally use the mouth by Native Instruments and vocodecs. So we're going to be looking at those. You'll see examples of these. I'm going to pull open my tracks and show you what's going on inside. I expect you to know basic stuff. Like if you don't know what that means, I'm talking about like, oh, this is signal, this is a compressor, this is that, this is the other thing. Like, oh, this is a flanger, this is a chorus. And I expect you to know what those are, what common controls are, and what they do. If you don't know that, I highly recommend you checking out the FL12 Effects series, my sound and synth basics and digital audio basics. Those should get you pretty set. I have a critical listening series that's pretty good as a starting point, and I'm going to be doing a mixing series here pretty soon as well. So those sorts of, that kind of knowledge is always going to come in handy no matter what area you're diving into. And having some knowledge of some synthesis, like after going through sound and synth basics, maybe learning Citrus or Harmor or some VST, to the point where you can synthesize a little bit would also be kind of helpful. But I'll also be going through and explaining things in a way that hopefully even the brand new beginner will. But this is geared towards the intermediate to advanced producers. As far as the beginner goes, those are the series I recommend. After you go through those, you should be able to tackle something like this pretty okay. Source material. What kind of material do you need to really follow along? You have a voice, you have a mic, record yourself, you're good to go. Okay, that's it. Like literally, that's my philosophy. It's so much fun to see what you can get out of a piece of audio, especially like a voice. And for vocoders and pitching, you'd be surprised how good you can make yourself sound. We're going to be talking about, now you've also probably seen on this channel, in my other series, like for example, the drum and bass series, the one where I'm going over the neurofunk track that I have a whole bunch. You watch me do the stuff right there. I believe I record the vocals off screen, but you see me processing them and some of the thought process that go into it. So if you want to see it in an organic setting, I guess, of me like doing it right there, you can go check it out there. But yeah, that's pretty much it. We're going to be going over that. Those are the things we're going to cover. The more of the creative aspect, a little bit of the mixing, but not so much of the mixing. And it's going to be really fun and exciting. This is one of my favorite things to talk about and to do is this kind of stuff, because it's really what makes a track unique. A lot of instrumental tracks, actually instrumental tracks are very, very popular for placing and publishing if you write instrumental tracks, but then you got to know people and you got to get your game into publishing, and you got to be able to make a lot of different styles. Making just one style ain't going to cut it. You got to be very flexible. You can do it with just one style, but then you really got to work that one style. And if someone like me comes along who can do a whole bunch of styles, I'm going to take your work because I can do more than you can. So they'll use me more than you, because if they say, I want this sort of a sound, you don't know how to do it, and they come to me and I can do it, and I just won the game. So anyways, vocal processing, excited. And so in the next couple of videos, we are going to look at how to do some of these things. If you have any questions, let me know. If you're a beginner and you're freaking out because I just said it was advanced, don't worry. Just watch some of the other videos, see what you pick up. Maybe watch it twice, go through it. You know, you'll pick it up as you go. It's the same as I did. When I was new, I watched tutorials like 9 or 10 times and still didn't have a clue about what they were talking about, especially FM tutorials. And that's just the way it is. You just fight it until you get it, and stuff starts to stick after a while. And reading manuals and other basic books like MRT, what does that stand for? Modern Recording Techniques. I'm so used to just calling it MRT, or the Mixing Engineer's Handbook. I've got a whole bunch of books. Those sorts of books are great resources that'll also get you a lot farther in your craft really fast, rather than learning every stuff hardcore. I'm a big fan of manuals as well. But anyways, that's my stuff. Support me on Patreon, because that allows me to do these things, not continue. I'm trying to get to the point where I can do these things so I can just do this. But anyways, yeah. And have a blessed day.
In the void of space, the night is endless as the day. The senses call for something more than what can give them.